All right, week 7 college football breakdown here. Maybe the most anticipated game of the week. We'll get right into it. Alabama traveling to Knoxville, third Saturday in October, taking on the Vols. Seeing Bama here, 7.5-point road favorite, and a high total, as you might imagine, in a Tennessee game. Seeing it right now at 65.5. I'm going to say this right off the bat. I backed Tennessee last week, playing in Death Valley, laid the 3 with them. Easy winner. I really like parts of this Tennessee team. I really do. But with that being said, and I'm not a huge stickler about this, but I truly believe the odds makers want you to do one thing here. They want you to back Tennessee, and we've seen that. This is the heaviest bet game of the week. People are unloading on Tennessee, and I get it. There's a lot to like about Tennessee's offense. If Bryce Young plays, I think Alabama's going to score at will in this game. Now, obviously, Bryce Young didn't play last week. He exited that game against Arkansas a few weeks ago with a shoulder injury. By all accounts, I do think he's going to play in this game. I've heard people say, well-respected people say that, odds makers don't know injuries. Yes, they do. The odds makers in the heaviest bet game of the week aren't putting out a 7.5 on Alabama and letting people unload on Tennessee if they don't feel pretty good about Bryce Young playing in this game. So I do think he plays. And with him in there, it's a bad matchup for Tennessee's defense. It's that simple. I think Alabama up to this point, they've been a little shaky in some of these spots. We saw them struggle at Texas. We saw them struggle last week against Texas A&M. Those two defenses, though, are considerably better than this Tennessee defense is. This matchup on this side of the ball, at least, feels a lot like when Alabama went to Arkansas a few weeks ago, and we saw what happened in that game. Even when Bryce Young went out, Alabama created so many explosive plays in that game, put up 49, 555 total yards of offense. For a very similar reason, I just think they're going to be able to do it again. Tennessee can get after the quarterback a little bit. I feel much better about Alabama's offensive line than maybe I have at times in the past. I think they'll step up for this matchup. I think their running game has gotten more explosiveness to it than it had with a guy like Brian Robinson Jr. That's no shade. It's just the truth. Jahmyr Gibbs is a true home run threat from that position. I like what I've seen from Jace McClellan. They've got young receivers that are going to feast in this matchup. So I do like Alabama on that side of things. And you might think, well, are you going to lay the 7.5 with Alabama? I'm still mulling over it. The one thing that keeps me off of that, though, there is a lot to like about Tennessee's offense. And I think that's probably underselling it. I mean, Hendon Hooker is over 10 yards per attempt this year, but that's nothing new. Ever since he took over the starting job last year, he's been phenomenal. I mean, he's a threat in the deep passing game. He's a threat in the intermediate passing game. He's efficient. And he's really good with his legs, too. I mean, I sprinkled on Hendon Hooker to win the Heisman Trophy. Nobody loves Hendon Hooker more than I do. More than that, Tennessee is pretty efficient running the football. They struggled with that at times a little bit this year, but really broke out in that category last week. And with Hooker's legs, there's just so much multiplicity towards this offense and really so much to like. One thing I'll say, though, about this matchup specifically that I worry about for Tennessee's offense over a very long game, and that's how Tennessee games go because they run at such a fast pace. There's so many possessions. Their offensive line was a real issue last year. They allowed the most sacks in the SEC. That was a real liability for them on the offensive side of the ball. Thankfully, Hooker and just their overall system was able to hide some of those things, but you're going up against the best pass rushing team in the country with Will Anderson, Dallas Turner, all those horses they got on the defensive side of the ball. I really don't like that. And Alabama stopped the run great this year. You saw what they did against Bijan Robinson when they played Texas. Even last week against Devon Achane, they contained Rocket Sanders a few weeks ago. Hendon Hooker's going to have to consistently deliver with his arm. I think he'll be able to mostly deliver with his arm, but I don't think he's going to get much help from his defense. The margin for error in this game is just going to be so small for Tennessee's offense. I mentioned their pace a second ago, and I said last week, actually, I don't always love when Tennessee runs at this fast pace because sometimes it extends games unnecessarily. This is a matchup where I think that pace is going to come back to bite them a little bit. Because I think over time, I just think Alabama is going to be able to get home on Hooker. I think they're going to be able to stop the run pretty consistently throughout this game. Hendon Hooker is going to have that Heisman performance to win this game, and maybe he will. And that's the one thing keeping me off of just laying the 7.5 with Alabama right now. I'm still leaning that way very heavily. I'm going to be on Alabama one way or the other. I'm either going to lay the 7.5, but I think the way that I would rather play this game particularly, why not just play Alabama team total over 36.5? I don't really want to have my money against Hendon Hooker as much as I think Alabama has matchup advantages along their defense. You're still talking about a Heisman level player. Maybe he does have that Heisman moment, and maybe he does just single-handedly, carry Tennessee through this game, even without Cedric Tillman. Maybe that does happen because he is so multiple. Why not just isolate Alabama's team total over? You're probably going to get it below 38. The only issue with that is you have to wait till Saturday because that's when team totals get posted widespread. And hopefully we don't have any sort of line move that pushes that above 38. I'd still probably play it there. So that's kind of what I'm mulling through right now. I'm going to be on Alabama in one way, shape, or form for all the reasons I mentioned. Recording this on Wednesday night. Safe to say, I do like the way Alabama matches up with Tennessee. This is going to be an entertaining game because that's how Tennessee games always are. And I do think they present a real threat to Alabama. Over time, though, do think the Crimson Tide find a way to win and cover this game. All right, guys, before we get out of here, I know you see this shirt right here. If you're in the market for some new golf apparel, check out Proud 90 Golf. Unique, very comfortable polos as well. With the cold weather coming, they've also got a great selection of hoodies and quarter zips. If you see anything you like, at proud90.com, use my promo code Fordham at checkout. It's going to get you 15% off your order. Check the description for more information.